everyone. To all my young friends on YouTube who have the semester 2 examination, ICSE, coming up very soon. In today's video, I have brought for you some last minute revision. Understandably, there's a lot of concern and children have been messaging me. So I thought it best to do one paper along with you so that we can revise some of the pointers we need to bear in mind while we write the paper, so that we write a good paper and we get good marks. So this question paper is the specimen paper that was uploaded on the ICSE website. I have chosen that. Let's do this paper together and see what important things we need to follow. What are some important guidelines we need to follow? Okay, so it's a 1.5 hour paper, enough time for you to write your paper very well. Your instructions, 10 minutes of reading time will be given to you. Use it wisely. Now, the first question is composition. Keep in mind that you are allowed to attempt any question. There is no need to worry. If you want to do the letter first, you can do the letter. You want to do the composition, do the composition first, that's fine. But what are some of the common points that need to be remembered? First, your selection of the topic. Select a topic, select that category of essay which you can attempt best. Don't go by the topic, but go by the approach that you know best. Okay, so if you think you are very good with descriptive, attempt descriptive. If you think you are good at narrative, go for narrative. Another thing, as soon as you start writing your paper, if you start writing the essay, it is not going to be a standard one. So spend at least 5 minutes thinking about the topic. Think, what will you write? Make a rough draft. Write the points briefly, maybe with a pencil. And while you write the essay, make sure you develop your essay based on the points that you have made. That will surely make a huge difference. You will have a better quality essay, and you also will not digress because you know what you are writing. Keep in mind that the essay has to be of 300 to 350 words. So look at your handwriting. Looking at your handwriting, see how many words you write in one line. Take an average of the first 3 lines. So if you write 10 words per line, at least 35 to 40 lines you need to write. Stick to the word limit. There's a penalty if the essay is too short or it is too long. Read the question carefully and remember to cover every aspect of the question. That is also very, very important, or else you will digress. Mention which essay you are doing, the number or the topic. While you write the composition, any composition, don't use digits, numbers, fractions, short forms, abbreviations, SMS language like R, U, Y, and any kind of slang. Something like, and I was like, that is not accepted. Do not use any contracted words like won't, aren't, wouldn't. Write will not, are not, would not. If the composition is to be written in the first person and you will be using I, make sure the I you write is a capital. There's a very common tendency to write I with a small letter. If it's a single I, the pronoun, children write with a small letter. So if you are in the habit of making that mistake, be mindful. Do not begin your sentences with and, but, and because. They are marked incorrect. Whatever punctuation you need to use, whether it's capital letters, commas, question mark, quotes, inverted commas, semicolon, make sure you use that. Do not use the ampersand. This is called the ampersand in place of and. Don't use the symbol, that will be marked wrong. Make sure for every composition you show the change of paragraphs. It should not be one big block where there are no paragraphs. Whether you are leaving a line to show a change of paragraph or you leave 2 finger space, that's fine. But if you don't show paragraphs, there's a penalty of 2 marks. Be careful with your spellings. These spellings, they are marked as errors, and more the number of spellings that are wrong, that is going to have an adverse effect on your score. Now, over the years, I've seen in the language paper, these are some commonly misspelled words. Okay, the classic example is receive and believe. Receive, very commonly misspelled. Make sure that you get it right. Writing is again a very common mistake. Children write double T, WRITTING. So whether it's handwriting or writing, make sure you don't make that mistake. Very, very common. The spelling of grateful, I will always be grateful to you. That spelling is often incorrect. Principal, very important. If you're writing the email to the principal and you write PLE, that's disaster. Or the letter, the principal, again, make sure that you write PAL, principal. The principal is your pal. The spelling of affectionately, make sure that is important. You lose marks in the letter if this is wrong. The spelling of continuous, very common mistake. Their children most often forget this U that comes after N. Until is again a very common mistake. Instead of a single L, children write double L. The spelling of reference, again, very, very common mistake. Occasion. Remember, there's a double C, a single S. The word occurred has a double C and a double R. Very conveniently, some children forget the double R. When you spell individual, the second D is missing in many spellings. Strangely, many children do not spell because correctly. Likewise, words like scenery, greenery, maintenance. When you write the word maintain, there's a different spelling, but when you write maintenance, remember there's a 10 over there. Okay, maintenance. And again, a very, very common mistake is with the word friend. Remember, a true friend remains with you till the end. So END, not IND. Very common mistake. And also the word business. So business, remember there is sin in business. It's a joke. So these are some common mistakes. If you have been making them, just have a look at them carefully and you will remember them. Write them once and it will get embedded in your mind. You don't have to worry too much, but if you're not careful, they will take a heavy toll on your marks. So now let's get started with the composition. Write a composition of 300 to 350 words on any one of the following. Now see the first question in the specimen paper. Imagine a situation where a child runs away from home but later returns. Why did he or she run away? What made him or her come back? Write an original short story entitled Finding My Way Home. So this is an original short story. Please attempt such a question if you are a good reader. You are in the habit of reading. It will come easily to you. Keep in mind, if you are attempting a short story, it has to be original. There should be no plagiarism. That means your idea should not have been taken or lifted from any movie, any storybook, a video game, television serial, or a cartoon show. Remember, the teacher may not be watching so many movies or so many cartoons, but if you have thought of the idea and you have taken it from somewhere, there are children of your age who will take the idea similarly. And so when the teacher comes across the same kind of story in 2 or 3 papers, then the teacher realizes this is not an original. And there is a penalty of 2 marks. You lose 2 marks if you write anything that echoes or reminds the teacher of something that she has heard or seen anywhere. So be original. A story must have a plot. There should be a story. There must be characters. Describe the characters well. So if there's a boy, how tall he is, his hair, the twinkle in his eyes, the way he walks, the kind of clothes he's wearing. Describe the characters well, bring them to life, give them names, give them dialogues, and write the dialogues the way you write the direct speech, comma, open inverted commas, open and close. Mention at least 2 dialogues in a composition, that is a short story. Avoid all graphic details of violence, blood, something that is distasteful. Don't include all this. Let the examiner feel that you have a sound mind. Always, whatever be the composition, include a moral angle. The composition should have a positive impact on the reader. It should indicate that that experience has ennobled you, made you a better person. So even if it's something that is not very pleasant, you can still have a positive learning or a positive lesson from it. In this case, they have said, write the story with this title. So mention this title at the top. However, if the essay says, begin the composition with a particular sentence or end with that particular sentence, take care to do that. It should be then the first line or the last line, as the case may be. If you don't do that, again, there's a penalty. Okay. Next is an argumentative essay. Parents can never be friends with their children. This is a statement. And now you have to write an essay either for the motion or against the motion. Now, first, if you are writing this essay, argumentative essay, remember, this is not a debate. It's not a speech. It's a piece of creative writing. So avoid words like, I would like to speak, or I strongly speak against the motion or for the motion. It should not sound like a debate. It's a piece of writing. Understand the topic well. It says parents can never be friends with their children. So if you agree, you are for the motion. But sometimes when you're reading the word never, people might think you are against the motion. So decide your stance, your stand well. What are you going to write? For the motion or against the motion? When you begin the essay, start with a few general statements. Okay. So after you write 1 or 2 sentences, then in the first paragraph itself, you must mention your stand. I wholeheartedly disagree, or I wholeheartedly agree that parents can never be friends with their children. So if this line is missing, again, you lose marks. If you're writing an argumentative essay, make sure that you have at least 3 to 4 arguments and put them into 3 to 4 paragraphs, develop them well. Use at least 1 rhetoric question. Now, many people ask me, what does that mean? Here you are making an important point or a statement through the use of a question. The question doesn't need an answer. You're asking this question only for emphasis, to make a point. For example, you can write something like, when will we realize that social media is actually making us antisocial? Question mark. So such questions you can write, you must write when you're writing an argumentative essay. Again, use paragraphs. There's a penalty. You get a -2 if your composition is not visually appealing. It's not in paragraphs. Try to give some facts or references. You may not know them. You can make up some facts. Write those statistics to make your argument sound convincing. Another very, very important point, when you're writing the composition, please stick to one stand only. That means if your composition is for the statement, make sure your entire composition is for the statement. Never, not even once, should you deviate or you should limp between the 2 options and say, okay, I'm against it, but there's one good thing about it. No. Do not present both views, only one view. Again, if you are found limping between 2 opinions, then you will stand to lose 2 marks. Okay? Again, another important reminder, please conclude your essay with the reiteration of the topic. Repeat what you're saying. After you have said everything, after you have made your argument, say, and hence, I strongly believe that, then write whatever the topic is. That parents, they can never be the friends of their children, or whatever the topic might be. Make sure you reiterate your stand. So that was the argumentative essay. The next is a question which I think every child can attempt. And if he is just a wee bit careful, he can attempt it very well. Describe an area in your city or hometown which is famous for its street food. Now, everybody knows this. Everybody lives in a town or a city where there is some kind of street food. So give details of the familiar sights and sounds. It's a descriptive essay. The question itself says, talk about the sights and sounds that you experience on the street. Now, when you are attempting this essay, what do? We know we have to include all our senses. We have to write in an essay what we hear, what we taste, what we smell, what we touch, and what we feel. Okay? Even if you're not able to include everything, at least 3 to 4 aspects you must include. Okay, now here it says sights and sounds. So very consciously, when you're thinking about the topic, write down which sights will you focus on, what sounds will you focus on. Okay, also it's your city, your hometown, so don't write about some very exotic locale. And also remember, it's street food, what you call as fast food, so make sure that you include that. Okay, if you are writing your composition without writing these, the senses, your composition then is not a descriptive composition. It simply becomes a narrative composition. So if you feel you can write a descriptive composition well, make sure you include all the senses along with your feelings. Again, when you are writing, focus on the question. It says street food, but care needs to be taken. Avoid using vernacular words or Hindi words like samosa, kachori. Okay, now we may not have an English equivalent for it. Some might argue that they are part of the Oxford Dictionary. That's fine. But when the teacher is reading it, when the examiner is reading it, she will mark it wrong. He will mark it wrong. So what do? Instead, you use words that can be used as substitutes, equivalents. So you write words like savories. This you could use for something you are talking about, like salty snacks. Okay, what you call as namkeen, samosa. So they are the savories. Fritters, those are the pakoras. So instead of writing pakoras, you write fritters. And add, good words along with these. For example, you can say lip smacking savories or crispy fritters, hot from the oven or hot from the pan, something like that. Then another very common thing, when you write a descriptive essay, you most of the time when you're writing about the smells, use the correct word. Remember, there are different words that can indicate smell. There is odor, aroma, stench, fragrance. So if you're writing a descriptive essay, remember aroma will be for the food. So you have a pleasant aroma, maybe of the food that is cooking. But when you say fragrance, this is for the flowers. Odor is a strong smell that doesn't indicate something very pleasant, such as body odor. Stench definitely is a very strong, unpleasant smell. So when you smell the food, it's the aroma. And when you smell the flowers, that's the fragrance. So remember to use these words appropriately. So that is your descriptive essay. The next one is a narrative one. It is very important for young people to spend quality time quietly or alone for a short while every day. If you were given an hour to spend on your own, how will you spend it? What will you learn from the process? So the trick to doing the composition well is first focus on the question. It says for young people, time spent quietly for a short while. And then it says how much is the time? Only an hour. Now, there are different aspects to the question. It says, how will you spend it and what will you learn from the process? So you have to give good weightage to both these parts of the essay. Then only your essay will be a good one. So I told you, you need to think about it. 5 minutes, think about it. Roughly pen down your thoughts. What will you write? In this essay, it says, if you were given, that means you will need to use an I. You will have to write the essay in the first person. Remember, it's only for an hour, so not too much of time. It says quietly, so focuses on the quiet. So make sure you are not talking about something that doesn't fit the bill. So what would you do in that 1 hour? So if you write something like, I would play video games or games on my mobile phone, that doesn't sound very constructive. So even if that is what you would like to do, but that's not what you would ideally put down on paper. So think about it. Cover both the aspects, how will you spend and what will you learn. Okay, so you need to just focus on the question and then attempt. Very big mistake if you simply start writing. The essay will never come out the way you want it to come out. Finally, we have the picture question, the picture composition. Now, many children are not very comfortable attempting it. They feel that it's difficult. On the contrary, picture composition is one of the easiest things to attempt. Why? You are given a picture and you have been told either write a story on it or describe it, or write an account, that's narrate a story based on it. So the same principles apply. If you're writing a story, you know what you have to keep in mind. If you're writing a descriptive thing, then you know what are the things that should be there. And if you're writing a narrative essay, again, you know what are the elements that should be present. Now, whatever the picture be, I have not taken the picture, but whatever be the picture, what will you do? First, remember, a picture composition is something which actually has a very wide interpretation. You can have your own interpretation. Don't worry. This is what I perceive. This is what I think of the picture. I don't know what the examiner thinks. You don't have to worry. You give your own interpretation. A wide interpretation is accepted. The only care you need to take is please don't itemize the things in the picture. Don't write, I can see this, I can see that. That is not the way to attempt it. But weave a story, write a description, and remember the principles of writing each category of composition. So accordingly, you adapt. Okay. So that's how you do your composition. We have 1.5 hours. You can easily devote 40 to 45 minutes and write a beautiful composition. Remember, 20 marks. It's half your weightage. If you don't do your composition well, you ultimately will not be scoring very well in language. You can do it. Just be a little careful. Okay. Now, question 2 is the letter. The first composition, informal letter, it says you have been given a small sum of money to buy a gift for a friend. What gift would you choose? Specify, and why would you choose this? Write a letter to your friend telling him or her about the gift and how will it benefit him or her. Now, keep in mind, again, even if it's a letter, you need to read the question carefully. So what are some of the things? It is a small sum of money. Okay, it's not too much, a small sum of money. Now it says, what would you choose and why would you choose? But look at the question. What is the letter going to be about? You will write a letter to your friend. Your actual question starts from here. You will write a letter to your friend, tell him about the gift and how it will benefit him. Okay. Now, if you want to do your letter well, what do you need to do? First, pay attention to the format. It carries 2.5 marks. Make sure you're thorough with it. I already have put up a video. Go through it once if you're not very sure. 2.5 marks for the format. Understand what is asked in the question. Small sum of money. So what you will be able to buy will be something very small. It may be small, but simple, and it should be practical. Now the content will carry 2.5 marks. That means you need to write at least 5 points. Now you think, what are the 5 important points you will highlight? Okay, so in the content, mention about the gift. Why will it benefit him or her? Why you chose to buy, you can include it over here. Okay, again, be thorough with the format. This is what the format includes. There should be a from address. Make sure it is at least of 3 lines. Then the date of the letter will be the date of your examination. Salutation, dear, and the name of your friend. In case you're writing an informal letter to your mom, dad, uncle, aunt, grandfather, make sure you write a polite salutation. So don't write dear mom, dear dad. Write dear mother, dear father, dear grandfather. In case you're writing to an uncle, so write dear Uncle John, dear Aunt Rose. If you're writing to a friend, then just dear Sam. Okay. The subscription, write yours affectionately. Even if other options are accepted, I think you need not experiment. Just write yours affectionately and your first name. Now, there are many things that may go wrong, so just look at the previous videos. Another very common question I've been asked is, what about the comma and the full stop in the address? So I'll tell you once again, if you want in the address, you can put comma, comma, full stop. Okay. If you choose to write the punctuation throughout. If not, you can avoid it altogether. It's perfectly fine. So I encourage children not to put the punctuation, just a full stop at the end when they write the pin code. But if your teacher has taught you to put comma, comma, full stop, by all means go ahead. It's not wrong. Okay, but then the only thing is, don't put a comma at the end of the first line of the address and then you forget to put it at the end of the second line. So be consistent. The salutation, the subscription, the entire letter, make sure you're sticking to the left-hand side. Keep it left aligned. Any mistake in the subscription, you will not get 1 mark for simply writing your name. Remember that. Okay. Next is a formal letter. The question is, again, I found the question slightly tricky. You have planned to organize a health camp at school. Write a letter to the manager of a supermarket requesting sponsorship for the event. Name the event and explain how it will benefit both the community as well as the supermarket. Now, it's a formal letter. Letter to whom? To the manager of a supermarket. What are you going to do? You are going to organize a health camp. What are you going to write in the letter? You have to request him to sponsor this health camp at your school. So it says, name the event, it will carry marks, and tell him in the letter how it will benefit the community as well as the supermarket. So all these points must be there in your content. Again, format is very important. Revise the format, it carries 3 marks. You should get these 3 marks fully. The content is for 2 marks. So 4 clear-cut points, and most of the points are given in the question itself. Think about it again. Think about the content of the letter before you actually start writing the letter, and make sure you cover every aspect. You will do very well. What is the format of a formal letter? There is a from address, that's your address, and there's a to address. Now the only thing is, you keep in mind, if your from address is of 3 lines, make sure your to address is also of 3 lines. So maintain that symmetry. Okay, again, if you want to put comma, comma, full stop, fine. If you don't want to, that is also fine. The date will again be the date of your examination. Now, when you're writing the to address, because it's a formal letter, in the address, the first line will be the designation. So in this case, the manager. Then one more line and the town. Okay, so the designation and the town are very important. Salutation, stick to only dear sir. Okay, no, don't experiment. Either you write dear sir or you write dear madam. Don't write both. Dear sir / madam, don't write that. Don't write ma'am also. Okay, that is also considered wrong. So safely stick to dear sir, that's fine. The D and the S should be clear capitals. And when you end your letter, when you're writing subscription, write yours faithfully without the apostrophe in the yours. Put a comma after yours faithfully and write your name along with your surname. For this, there is 1 mark. In case you write S, let's say S, Meena, a common way of writing the name in the south of India. So that is also accepted. That is also correct. Okay, so that's how you'll write the letter. Make it visually appealing. When you start the letter, and ideally start the letter on a fresh new page so that it looks visually appealing. It is very, very present. A final question, email and notice. Now here, the question, you are the president of the school science club. You and your team are planning to organize a creative mask making event. Okay, so yes, there is a question that is touching upon the present scenario. So this is something indicating the pandemic, the coronavirus. So I do not know, there might be something like this in the examination. They have asked us to write about a mask making event using renewable material. So here they bring in the element of eco-friendliness. Write a notice to be put up on the school notice board giving details of the event. Again, revise the format of a notice. You know what are the points that must be there so that you get your full 5 marks. See the video on the notice again. Quick reminder, give a good creative title. To get this 1 mark, make sure the event doesn't become a part of your creative title. Okay, so in this case, don't write mask in the creative title. It has to be something different. Okay, monolingual title, that means only English language. It should connect with the event, help you understand. The name of the event will carry 1 mark. The date, this should not be in the digital format, not the way you write in the margin of your notebook. You write the date the way you write the date in the formal letter or informal letter. Now, when writing the date, you need to take a bit of care. You will not write the date of the examination over here. Why? Because you need to give some time for the people to get ready for the event. So you must have heard that from the day of the examination, you can safely take any date within a month. Okay, so 15 days to 1 month, you can take the date. And when you're writing the target in that last line, also make sure that you give them at least 5 days to submit their names or register for the event. Okay, time, it should be mentioned along with the AM and the PM. Be mindful of the time. So in case it's a carnival, it's a handicraft mela, a fair, okay, so it will not be early in the morning. Usually it will be in the evening. If it's a plantation tribe, maybe a cleanliness tribe, then you can give early morning hours, that's fine. The place, next comes the place. This carries 1 mark. The smaller place, put a comma and then mention the larger place in the same order. Do not mix it, do not shuffle it. Half mark for the specific place and half mark for the general place. The smaller to the larger, separated by a comma. Okay, so ideally it should be the name of a hall and the name of your school. But again, keep in mind, if it's a carnival, if it's a fete, it will not be in an auditorium. Likewise, if it's a painting competition, it will not be in an auditorium. Or if it's a cleanliness drive, it will not be in a hall. So think about the possible locale. What is the good place where you should get your children to assemble and accordingly write. Finally, the target for 1 mark. In this, you will write the class, the students of which class should respond to the notice. So students of class 9 and 10, whom should they contact, by which date they should contact, etc. Even if you feel that some other bits of information are required, you may add, otherwise it's fine. Okay, so in notice, it's very easy to get full 5 marks, so please be a little diligent, you will be able to do it. Finally, we have the email. Okay, so when this email is to the general manager of a local hospital. What is it all about? Send a senior doctor to talk to the participants at the event about the quality of mask which would give them the best protection. Okay, a very different kind of an email. So let's expect that the email in the specimen paper will also be not the very, very common kind. It might be something according to the need of the hour. So when you're writing the email, again, be thorough with the format. Where are the marks? Half mark for the email ID of the person to whom you're writing. Now, in this case, it's general manager. So you can just write general manager, let's say Apollo, the local hospital at gmail.com. Okay. If you're writing to the principal, write principal, name of the school at the rate gmail.com. Remember, the spelling of principal should not be wrong. Likewise, if it is a police commissioner, then you can write that designation. However, if it says invite a journalist or invite somebody in particular, some eminent activist, then remember to write a name. Okay, so if it's a journalist, is an editor, then don't write editor. Then you will have to write the name of the person. Make up a name, that's fine. Now, the next is the subject. This again carries half a mark. Straight away from the topic you can take. Salutation, write dear sir, stick to the margin. Everything has to be left aligned. The opening line carries half a mark. Try and write something like our school is organizing, or we would like to request you, or we would like to invite you. Ideally, don't start with an introduction of yourself. It's not required. Then comes in the second paragraph, the body of your email. This carries 2 marks. Make sure it includes all the details that you have given in the notice. So which date, what time, which place, the students of which class, and then you can add over there what is asked in the question. So here it says, invite the doctor to talk to the students about the quality of the mass. So you can mention that we would like you to address the students on the quality of mass so that their health is safeguarded during these turbulent times. Something like that you can add. Then there is half a mark for a closing line. Again, learn one good closing line so that you don't have to waste time. You can write something like anticipating a favorable response, or you can write, I hope that your response will be in the affirmative. This should be a fresh new line. It will give you half a mark. And finally, your subscription, that's yours faithfully, comma, and below that your full name. If you want, you can write the designation at the end. So what is the designation? President, science club, and the name of the school. But there are no marks for it. But if you wish to write, go ahead, by all means, there is no problem. Another very important thing that I wanted to say is children have a little query about the placement of the notice. Should it be centrally aligned? Should it be aligned to the left? It's up to you. As long as it is visually appealing, as long as you have provided all the content that is required, it should not make a difference. Okay, so I have tried to give you some last minute pointers. I hope they will be helpful to you. There are videos for an email, notice, formal letter, informal letter. You may see them. I'm sure they will help you. So all the best, children. Do very well. 1.5 hours is a long time. Write well, write carefully, think, and then you ink. Okay. Thank you very much. All the best once again. Happy learning.